Papa told me I couldn't do a lot of things.
I feel like I'm the chosen one.
Look at this. We created this. This didn't exist before we were here. All we are is proud and passionate. I love Toronto. I love this team. And we're going to the NBA Finals. Let's go!
Nothing matters but winning.
Welcome back to episode 64 of Rapzville Weekly. I'm your co-host, Gabriel Chelio, here with my other co-host,
Adam Kasuchi.
And today we have a bit to talk about. We've been off for a couple of days here. About 3 Raptors games have gone by. We're going to talk about those along with some other news that's been going through, trade rumors and other stuff in the Raptors media, including even what's going on with the G League starting up now. But before we get into that, as always, please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram at Rapzville for NBA news and Raptors content. And most importantly, leave your comments down below because we want to get you guys involved in the conversations as well.
Yep, and we will be having a guest series in the summer. So if you would like to apply, we will be posting on our story a bunch of applications that just register and you will apply to be in the podcast. Okay, so to get started, I want to talk about Malachi Flynn and Jalen Harris's first 2 games in the 905. Kind of starting off there, Mutombo, the coach of the 905, kind of started them off on the bench, which is a bit surprising. Obviously them coming from the Raptors and being drafted in this year's draft class. I just wanted to talk about what's the big difference between the 905 and the NBA and how the confidence levels kind of change and how the players mentally prepare. Like if Malachi is going to be taking more shots in the 905 and he's going to be running the team more, how does that make a difference compared to him in the NBA?
Yeah, well, in the 905, obviously, the competition is extremely different, obviously weaker than it would be in the NBA, so that can obviously add to the confidence level of some of the players. And I think that in terms of where everyone's at kind of in their career, most of the G League players are young players or are struggling to get a roster spot and they've been sent down for development or they're trying to just work their way up in general. So I feel like that competitive environment adds to everyone's fire of wanting to be great. And I guess someone like Malachi Flynn or Jalen Harris, both solid pieces, obviously Malachi Flynn being the first round pick. Obviously he wants to step up and prove that he is one of the best players, on the team and against his competition as well. So he wants to be aggressive and show that he can score. And maybe the defense isn't as good in the G League and the players aren't as skillful. So maybe he's looking better, but I think also there's a fire underneath him to prove his worth, especially because he was sent down from the Raptors. So he wants to prove that he is of some type of value. And also he can do a good job of leading the team there. And I just noticed, like, from the bit that I've seen him play, I feel like he is just much more aggressive with the ball and, like, even on ISO plays. When he was with us, he was very vanilla, that he would just hold the ball, wait for a pick and roll, and just pass it around. He wasn't creating, he wasn't being aggressive, trying to make his own plays. He was kind of just playing a really simple basketball. And then with the 905, he's been really aggressive and, attacking on the ISO, pulling up on threes. And I just feel like, I guess with the G League, he just has more confidence there and he's trying to just develop his game and prove his worth.
Yeah, I feel like the G League, like you said, Gabe, is more of a showcase. You're trying to prove your value, you're trying to get to the big club, and you're trying to show the coach why you belong there. That's why we've been seeing guys like Elise Johnson, Nick Stauskas, Malachi, Harris, all kind of developing and growing in the 905. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of big games from them because their confidence is boosted when in the 905. I think a lot of players mentally feel like they can take a lot more shots, and even if they miss, they're not under that much pressure. In the big club, when you get less minutes, every shot is really more emphasized, and you're really looking at only the minutes that you played in the little time, right? So it's very emphasized, and I think that Malachi and Harris will be back though. I feel like, especially Malachi, I think he does have the talent. I think he's just adjusting to the league and how big the players are, how fast they are, the rotations, and what really Nick Nurse and how he fits in the system, I think is a big part of why Malachi got sent down. But I think he'll be right back up, and let's hope he does well.
Yeah, I feel like everyone just gets a fair amount of chance in the G League, get their minutes, and get to put up good numbers. A lot of players in double digits over the past 2 games, and in the most recent game, Malachi Flynn putting up 25, Johnson 23 in the double-double. So clearly, there's tons of shots to go around, even Nick Stauskas. People just put up good numbers there, and it's definitely a good showcase for them. Hopefully, they make a mark there and they can return soon. We know Malachi Flynn has potential. He just hasn't been able to show it just yet with us. So hopefully we can see it soon.
Yep. Moving on to our next topic. How not returning to Toronto will really hurt the Raptors tremendously. And I think this is a big thing also. If they return to Toronto, obviously they could be seeing their families, which a lot of them are staying in Toronto, right? So, and playing at the Scotiabank Arena, obviously, with fans. Even if they did return, I don't think they would have played with fans. But even just to play in the building, you know the area, you know your surroundings. I think it would have helped the Raptors tremendously in that regard.
Yeah, they're in such a weird circumstance compared to, it's already weird enough with COVID and all the rules and the traveling and waking up early to do your testing. It's been a problem for a lot of players, but I think with the Raptors having an additional thing of not being at your hometown, not being able to stay at your home if you have one, or condo if you have one in Toronto, and having to deal with getting a place in Tampa and moving around and new environment, got to find your way around the directions, close stores or something like that. There's a bunch of different tasks that they have to manage on their own. So I feel like it's just added stress, and not being able to come at home is a little annoying. Obviously, Tampa was a little more lenient with fans at the start than it would be in Toronto. But still, I feel like, the environment, the atmosphere, your actual home court, I think it means something. But hopefully the team has found some type of closure, getting their own arena and maybe making that their new home for now. I would really like to see them return. I know Kyle said the same thing, but I guess it is what it is. You can't do much about it. It's what's best for the league in terms of safety of the players and transporting and having to do with the quarantine and stuff. It's just simpler this way. So just hopefully the team can now find Tampa as a true home and use it as a home court advantage.
Yeah, I feel like it's a sad case here for the Raptors because we really feed off our crowd in every game, in every close game. Like Nav Bhatia said, I think last year with Boston, really being in the home court in Toronto, I think we would have taken that series with the crowd. So I really think it's a big advantage, especially for Toronto having one of the best fan bases in the league, and the players do really feed off of it. We got a lot of guys with a lot of streakiness and momentum that can get hot quickly, like we've seen Siakam, Powell, Lowry, a lot of guys that really feed off the momentum of the crowd, and it's just a bad thing here for Toronto, and I think they got unlucky in this situation.
Yeah, we truly have one of the best fan bases in the league, and a lot of players say it. I think Tyler Hero said it recently that his favorite place to play besides Miami is Toronto, just because the environment is crazy, the energy is fantastic. We already know that it's going to be a good game. Our team usually puts in always a solid fight on both the offensive and defensive end, but we feed off the crowd. It's so true, and the energy inside Scotiabank Arena is just electric. So it's a shame that we can't have that. Obviously, COVID plays a big part in that, but I think this season and last season, at a point where we're kind of in the middle of transitioning between losing star players and trying to still be a playoff team and, holding on to our last couple of years with Kyle Lowry. Now his contract will be ending soon. Who knows where he will go, but also he's getting older and he obviously is close to retirement at some point. I feel like holding on to these last couple of years, it's sad that we can't have that home court advantage because we feed off of it so much, and an average team on paper in terms of what we had this year and maybe even last year, I feel like could have performed so much better with a home court environment, probably taking the Boston series, and maybe even taking Miami and going to a second straight final. It's a possibility, and I feel like if we had that on our side, it would have played a huge advantage, so it's just a shame.
Yeah, and I feel like our bench could have also created like we've seen in the past with the bench mob. Yeah. Like we've had previously with Pirtle, Siakam, when they were on the bench, Freddie. They could have kind of created that kind of culture on the bench if we had a crowd. I feel like now, without the crowd, I feel like it's just not less energy, but they haven't been playing up to par, and there hasn't been a lot of scoring and just production, honestly, off the bench, other than Boucher and VanVleet, to be honest. But yeah, that's what I think for that. And moving on, transitioning to the next topic, we will be talking about the transition of Powell and his game, and the OG and Powell starter situation and what we're going to do there.
Yeah, so Norman Powell, obviously, everyone that's kind of been watching the Raptors, as long as you're a fan that's been watching the games, most importantly, you definitely have seen Powell take a huge step as of late. Probably somewhere around his last maybe 12 to 14 games have just been incredible. With OG being out due to his injury, Norman Powell has found a starting role, and he seemed to be producing night in, night out. The last game he had against Boston wasn't his best, that's for sure. But then the games before that, Washington and Memphis, he had 28 and 29 respectively. And, he's just been having stellar performances, taking on a big scoring role for this team and proving his worth, that's for sure. And making a name in the starting lineup. It seems that when he's been in the starting lineup and getting his valuable minutes, 30 plus usually, he's been putting up great numbers, shooting efficiently and scoring in bunches, getting hot for this team. And the question is now, what do we do with him when OG comes back, which should be soon? Nick Nurse has said that possibly he's expecting Sunday he could be returning. OG did practice today on Saturday, so it's a possibility we could see him on Sunday's game. But what do you do then? Do you play Powell off the bench, and is that going to ruin his momentum? Is that going to ruin his time? Do you try going small to keep Powell in the starting lineup? And if you do, then it obviously depends on who you're versing, because that will make a huge difference on how you end up performing against the team that you verse. We're versing Minnesota next game, so Karl Anthony Towns is now healthy. You kind of need a big man. You can't really go small against him. He's a good scorer. So now you're in a tough situation of what do you do with Norman? Do you start OG off the bench at first? Maybe because minute restrictions, because he's still with that injury, you want to play him lighter minutes? Or do you put him at the starting but still give him minute restrictions to keep Norm on the hot run? But what happens when OG's fully healthy, Adam?
Yeah, I think I would kind of make a little bit of a switch here. I would kind of do the unorthodox thing and put OG on the bench to start. And I think when getting this production from Powell, you just have to kind of roll with it. Like you're getting that much of an offense from Powell just by himself. But when he's catching the ball off the drive, his kickouts have been great. Getting to the rack, his finishing has been absolutely tremendous. And he's shooting the ball with a lot of confidence. He's not hesitating at all. He's vaulting up right when he gets the ball. There is no slight double clutching or anything. It's just he's going up and he really feels that he can make the shots that the Raptors are giving for him. And I think he's been enrolled in a lot more actions as well, a lot of more pick and rolls. And I think he's getting more comfortable handling the ball in terms of running the Raptors offense as well. So I think his job, to be honest, has been simplified. And he just really needs to focus on scoring. And he could kind of be like a Malik Beasley on the Minnesota Timberwolves to our opponents next game. Kind of like him, just a scoring option, and can really benefit the team that way.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing here is that obviously OG had a role as the 3-and-D player, and Norm is bringing you the 3-ball shooting, but also scoring in other ways, being more aggressive and kind of better on the offensive end in terms of finding his shot, maybe a mid-range off a pump fake or driving to the rack. He's a little more, good at doing all three things, 3-level scorer. So that's good for him. The thing is the defense, you're always like, okay, you might sacrifice a size and strength and solid defensive ability. Even though Norm can be a pest, there's that size and strength disadvantage. But luckily for this game, Minnesota, the small forward is Anthony Edwards, and he's a good player, but he's also 6'4", 225. In terms of height, that's at least someone that Norm can match up with, and starting lineup, that shouldn't be a problem. They got Beasley at the 2, also 6'4", and then Rubio at the 1. So in terms of us going as a small ball team like we usually are, we're a little undersized, it wouldn't be a problem with Norm at the 3 this game. So I think it could be a good idea to maybe put OG off the bench.
Yep, I'm gonna stick with my case there. And then talking about size, Gabe, Andre Drummond and Tristan Thompson are really highly valued on the market right now. And teams are looking to pick them up. Obviously, Thompson is in a situation with Boston coming off the bench for Daniel Tice, as we saw the last couple games. And we also seen Drummond kind of take a back seat, and Allen's getting a bit more minutes for Cleveland. So is this the time to pounce from a side? Do we intensify in talks, Gabe?
I think that now is the time we should move in on Drummond. Cleveland's been having horrible sets of performances. In the past 11 games, they've lost 10 of them. And in the past 3 games specifically, Andre Drummond hasn't played the best. 15 points against the Suns in 36 minutes, 4 points against the Nuggets, and 8 against the Trailblazers. And in the Nuggets and Trailblazers games, he played 16 and 17 minutes apiece. So for one of your star players who's an absolute animal on the defensive end and the offensive end, how is he being kept so quiet and his minutes being so low? He's not shooting the best, and I personally haven't been watching his play game in and game out, so I don't know if this season, the past couple of games, he's been just playing bad when he's on the floor, but he is a, almost all-star caliber player, and for him to be not playing the past 2 games, they've been blowouts, and I know that the Cleveland's been going deep with their roster when it's blowouts, but 17, 16 minutes, it's a little bit suspicious, and I'm wondering if their trade rumors are hesitating and leading towards him not getting as much minutes because he could be getting shipped out, and they want to get maybe Allen more involved to fill the role once Drummond leaves. And that makes sense. So honestly, I think that there could be moves happening. And in terms of a Raptors fan, I really hope that the moves are coming from our management team, because we definitely need someone like Drummond. He fits the role perfectly, the spot, like the space that what we need. The question is now, what do we give up, and how do we make sure it doesn't ruin the team and take away from what we're trying to build? Because we're still in a playoff spot right now, 7th seed, and we can definitely work towards a 5th seed at some point. So how do we just minimize the damage in terms of losing solid pieces?
Yeah, like you're keen on this Drummond, Gabe. I'm looking at this Tristan Thompson deal. I'm saying that we give up less value. We're still picking up a bench power forward or center, or we could even start Thompson. It depends, and we go smaller. I would keep Baines in the starting position, but and I would move Thompson to the bench. Not saying that Thompson isn't as good as Baines, just I think that the bench will need some rebounding, along with Boucher. And Boucher can also stretch the floor, shooting the 3 balls. So I think that would be a big benefit to the Raptors team.
Yeah, I think that's fair. If that move does work, I don't know specifically what they would want for Tristan, but like just rolling with, I guess, what we have right now, I can definitely see Tristan at the 5 and then Boucher at the 4, stretching the floor, and then some of our other pieces on the wings, like Watanabe or Stanley or something, and then whatever scoring presence we have off the bench at the guard position. Bembry, I think I could see that working. It's just a question of what would they want for Tristan Thompson. Adam, do you have any idea?
The price tag will obviously be lower for Thompson than for Drummond, but I do think Tristan Thompson, I think we can maybe offer Aaron Baines, or if we offer a Johnson and a couple of picks, I would be totally fine with that. I think we really need to solidify the rebounding off the bench, because we need to really, that area has just been hurting us for too many games now, and we've seen it hurt us in a lot of fourth quarters as well. So we really need to clean that up.
Okay, that's fair.
And then our last topic would be, can we trade TD and get some veteran presence and scoring threat off the bench? I don't know about any names right now about veterans that are kind of on the market, but I would look at for Masai Ujiri to kind of trade away TD. Not that I don't believe in him, not that he's not a good player. I just don't feel like his consistency level matches this Toronto Raptors team. I feel like we're looking for consistency off the bench. We need a scoring threat game in, game out, and he just hasn't been providing that for us. And his turnovers and decision making hasn't been great of late. So I think that's just an issue, another one that we got to cover.
Yeah, I know definitely Jack Armstrong's got a problem with it. He loves to point it out. And I know a lot of fans probably thinking the same thing. When Terrence Davis comes on, he tends to make a lot of problems, a lot of mistakes, giving the ball away, forcing up tough shots, going on an ISO and hitting a jacked up 3 with a guy in his face that just bricks horribly. He does score well. He is capable of being aggressive, driving to the basket. He's very athletic, great vertical, and he can shoot the ball when he's open. I just think like the decision making is not there right now. Obviously there is chance of improvement for him, and I do believe that he can be a good asset to this team in terms of scoring the ball, especially with the bench unit that's very defensive. But there is a possibility that the management, even the coaching staff, might be just getting annoyed with Terrence Davis's performance and shot selection and decision making. So there is a possibility we can move him. The question of value is kind of hard. He did make the all-rookie team last year, and he does have potential. It's just the question is how much do you get out of him, and is it worth giving him away? What I see more is maybe him and another player in a bigger move, like the Thompson or the Drummond. I feel like he could be a good second piece with potential, just someone that definitely needs to be worked upon. And if we give him away in that sense as a second piece, I think I'd prefer that better than just straight up handing him over for picks or an older player that's not as good or not as much potential. I feel like he's good as a second option in a trade.
Yeah, I truly see the value in that, Gabe. I think to juice up the trade, I think giving a guy like Terrence Davis will obviously, the other team will look and say, okay, he's got potential, he's young. He's got an NBA ready body. He has had big games in the past, but yeah, I think that is kind of a good thing to kind of just rotate it in the Tristan and Drummond deal.
So the first game we want to get into now specifically is the Raptors versus the Grizzlies game. The Raptors won 128-113. And this game, was a pretty solid performance by our team. We kind of fell asleep a bit in the second quarter and went down by half. But then the third and fourth quarter, especially the fourth, we came out really strong and closed this one out. The thing about the night here was JV was having a bit of a revenge tour. He was just absolutely tearing us apart in that starting lineup off the bench, attacking Baines, getting rebounds, obviously has a bit of height over Baines, being aggressive, swinging his elbows when he's catching a board and then getting N1s. And then even Boucher, obviously he has height and he has weight on him. So JV was just absolutely on a tear. He put up 27 points and he had 20 rebounds on 8 for 12 shooting, a steal and a block. He was just one of the main reasons that this game was so close. Obviously they had great performances. John Morant had 18 points, 9 assists, but 5 for 17 shooting. Brooks, 22 points, 5 rebounds, but 8 for 20 shooting. A steal and 2 blocks, I should add. And even Anderson, a couple of buckets, 15 points. Desmond Bane, 13. But the real problem was JV. Simple as that. Baines played 18 minutes, but didn't get much scoring. Only 7.6 boards because you can't do it against JV. Boucher, 29 minutes, 12 points, 10 boards, 4 for 11 shooting. So JV was like the impact player this game and made it very, very hard to, kind of get away from them. But luckily we had, 3 monster performances. We had Siakam with 32 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 11 for 18 shooting, dominating his matchup with Anderson. You had Powell with this hot streak, 29 points, 10 for 17 shooting, 6 3-balls on the night. He was obviously incredible. And you had Fred VanVleet, 32 points, 9 assists, 8 for 14 shooting, 3 steals. So when you got 3 guys putting up almost 30 points apiece, it's hard because you got 3 guys that are really hot, shooting the ball well and attacking. Pascal on the inside, Fred on the outside, and the same thing with Powell, kind of outside-inside game. So when you have 3 guys like that, it's hard to keep up. They obviously couldn't handle us defensively in terms of those 3, but JV was putting in a pretty good argument for us keeping it as a close game.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up a little bit of Fred VanVleet and how he performed. I felt like earlier in the game when Memphis was dominating, Fred VanVleet really kind of held the load for the Raptors, created the offense, and when everyone else wasn't really playing up to par. And then as Fred started getting into his groove, I noticed Siakam started playing better, Powell started playing better, kind of everyone kind of emerged as one, and that's when the Raptors succeeded and got their defensive stops. So I think Fred VanVleet is a huge part, especially with Lowry leaving this game with the back spasms. I felt like he was the reason that the turning point of the game, basically.
Yeah, his leadership has just obviously been incredible in terms of his ability to play, on the court, but then also helping his teammates get better and step up. It looks like they're following his presence like they used to with Lowry, so I think that he's doing a good job stepping into that role. And I think honestly just his performance was incredible. And then Pascal had a huge step up this game, and even Powell obviously continuing his hot play. And then in terms of other players, we didn't see too much production in terms of scoring. Bembry played 25 minutes. He's really getting his minutes worth, man. He got 6 points, 2 boards, 2 assists, perfect shooting, and 2 steals on the night. I think that his role has become greater and greater. We've been talking about it so far, and it's clear. He's just making the right decisions when he's on the floor. He's hitting his shots when he has them open. He's not forcing anything. He's creating for his teammates, and he's playing stellar defense. He's just doing his part. Watanabe, 0 points off the bench in 16 minutes, but he had 7 rebounds, a steal, and an assist. Kind of taking a step down in terms of scoring, and then obviously being injured as of recent with his ankle. We don't know if he's going to return, and Terrence David's kind of been sloppy. So that's pretty much all for that game. For the Raptors-Wizards, the score was 137-115. Basically, the first quarter was a blowout. We were up 40-28. 40 points in the first quarter is always a good sign of an offensive night. And then the second and third were pretty close, and then the fourth, we carried it home. We had a nice lead, and we took that one home easily. In terms of scoring, Siakam, once again, had a huge night. 26 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 9 for 18 shooting, 3 for 4 from 3. Not really a strong matchup here. Hachimura was his best defender, but he won that matchup easily. I think, Pascal, I'm glad he's taken a step up these past couple of games, playing a lot better, being more aggressive on the inside. And this game, he was hitting the 3-ball, so that's good. making a lot of bailout buckets. Lowry, coming back from the back spasms, he had a solid game. 21 points, 4 boards, 5 assists, 8 for 14 shooting, 2 steals, and a block, 5 3 balls on the night. So that was fantastic. Fred took a little bit more of a backseat this game, 14 points, 7 dimes on 5 for 10 shooting, because the other guys were hot. You had Siakam scoring, Lowry scoring, and even Powell, who had 28 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, 10 for 18 shooting, 2 steals. You can't ask for more, man. Back-to-back games, huge numbers from him. Fantastic scoring, and I'll even give a shout out to Boucher off the bench. 17 points, 16 rebounds in 24 minutes, 2 blocks, 5 for 10 shooting. In terms of center, all they had was Alex Len, being a little bit of a pest, and Robin Lopez. They were being aggressive, rebounding the ball especially, kind of making it a tough night for Boucher. But I think Boucher still put up a solid performance. The defense was kind of weak at times, but I think he still did a good job. And Len and Lopez, they proved a problem for some points of the game, but ultimately they didn't impact it too much. So I'm okay with that. Terrence Davis, 18 minutes, 13 points, and Bembry, 23 minutes, 10 points, 4 for 5 shooting, really stepping up in his percentages, 2 for 2 from 3. I love that from him. 3 boards, 3 assists on the night. So great performance from the team, I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up Boucher and how he kind of struggles a bit usually with the bigger centers in the first half. I noticed once he kind of groups together the players' tendency and kind of knows what they're going to do and knows their go-to moves. Like Lopez, he's the hook. He likes to do those post layups. He likes to work on the inside. Boucher at first was getting all muscled, but then he started using his speed to his advantage, getting to the spot that Lopez wanted to get to first and being there to contest. He does a great job of adjusting, and that's where I've seen the kind of the improvement with Chris Boucher. And also I wanted to credit Lowry when people are hot and he's not performing well. I got to credit him for giving them the ball and letting them shine. I think he does a great job of not really focusing too much on his statistics personally, and just letting other players shine when they're hot. And it's the best really thing for the team in that situation. So kudos to him.
Yeah, so he did a great job in terms of scoring, honestly. It wasn't even a bad night for Lowry. He was doing good. Those 3 balls are something that me and Adam have been shredding about when they weren't going in, but he shot 5 of them. He scored 5 of them this game, so it was a good performance. And for the Wizards, obviously we talked about Len and Lopez, but their big, obviously, performances as expected were Bradley Beal with 24 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and Westbrook 23 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and a steal as well. But the shooting wasn't the best from either of them. 3 for 8 shooting for 3 from Westbrook, and Beal 1 for 6. So luckily that 3 ball wasn't as much a problem as it's been in past games. We made 19 of them on 32 attempts. That's 59% from 3. They made 12 out of 41. That's 29%. So that was a clear margin of difference that kind of led to us getting away with this one. And finally, moving on to the Boston game. The energy was great coming off Memphis and Wizards. Obviously, 2 teams that don't have the best records in the league. Let's be clear about that. Celtics we knew was going to be a tough opponent. Obviously, somewhat of our rivals here. And this one sadly ended 120-106 for the Celtics. The Celtics pretty much took the first and second quarters by decent margins. The third, we kind of tried bringing it back. We didn't do much. And then the fourth quarter, they just carried it away. We couldn't really get close. It was just a struggle the entire game. In terms of scoring, Lowry had 24 points, 6 assists, 10 for 15 shooting. So obviously a good performance from him. Glad that he making a step in the right direction after having that horrible slump. Siakam, same thing, 23 points, 8 for 14 shooting. Good performance from him. Fred, he only had 5 points, but he had 11 dimes, 2 for 9 shooting. Obviously that when he has bad shooting nights, we've seen it a bit. He likes to just go it turns into a facilitator of sorts. And his defense was still solid. Whenever he has those bad shooting nights, he kind of gets angry. 2 steals and 2 blocks. That says the story there. Powell took a step down in terms of scoring. Only had 15 points on the night. 6 for 15 shooting. And Boucher, 12 points, 6 boards off the bench in 25 minutes of play. But he had 5 blocks on the night. That was impressive. Everyone else didn't really put up a good performance here. The thing with this game was mostly just our defense. We just didn't know how to stop them. Tatum and Brown are always the problems, guys you got to watch out for. They can literally blow by anybody and either make a layup or make a play out of it. And when guarding them, you got to keep in mind that they have shooters around them, guys that stepped up. Sammy Ojeleye, scoring 24 points on the night, 6 3 balls, 8 for 12 from the field, and Pritchard scoring 6 3 balls as well, 6 for 10 from the field, 20 points, 5 boards. The thing was clearly trying to guard Pritchard and Ojale. They were just getting open and making their shots. And when you have to guard role players, it becomes a huge problem because you have 3 superstars in Walker, Brown, and Tatum that you also have to deal with. So the question is now, how do you guard them while also watching those role players, and then even dealing with Tice and Thompson, who look like mismatches to our centers. So, their team, especially on paper, I feel like is a huge mismatch, and they kind of have our number. And going into this one, I had a bad feeling that it wasn't going to go well for us.
Yeah, like you said, Gabe, it's a 3-way monster there, with the big man of Boston, the 3 superstars, and then you got their bench to worry about. In this game, I really just thought, our bench just didn't give enough scoring punch. When you look at the numbers as well, you got Boucher with 12, which is the one consistent guy that's performing off the bench. Bembry's not really the scorer. He did play really well in this game, but he's not really a scorer, only 4 points. You got Johnson with 9, who got 5 of those in garbage time minutes, and TD with 0, and Watson got 6 in garbage time as well. So it was an even bigger blowout before really those minutes, and I think we just need a veteran coming off this bench putting up points for us. And it's really been an issue right now.
Yeah, the scoring off the bench is a problem. I think just defense was also just a huge factor in my opinion. I think that was the catalyst for this event, was just not having a solid defense, not being able to guard the 3 ball, stopping Pritchard and Ojale and just Boston's good ball movement, and then also trying to contain superstars. I don't know if OG and Watanabe would have made as much of a difference as we think they would. Like, in terms of just stopping this team, it just looked like it was over before it began. And, I don't really know what to do against this matchup. It's a team that I'm scared about when we're versing them because they just got talent on paper and they perform relatively well. And maybe we got a little bit unlucky with Pritchard and Ojale shooting amazing this game, but even the last time we versed them, Pritchard was a problem. So I don't think it's just luck of the draw. I think that's pretty much it. We kind of covered all 3 games and the topics here. Like I said before, please leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think was the main problem for that Celtics game, along with what you think we should do in terms of trading for maybe Thompson or Drummond, and should we give up guys like TD? What are your guys' opinions? We want to hear, so leave your comments down below. Like I said in the beginning, like and subscribe, and thank you everybody who's been subscribing recently. We're trying to get our numbers up, and your support's appreciated. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. Instagram, follow us at Rapzville for NBA News Raptors content. Adam, any last words?
That's about it. Just thanking the guys, everyone who's followed and have supported this page, and we're just going to keep on growing forward and creating good content. That's basically it, man.
Yep, well said. All right, we hope you enjoyed. That's us signing out.
Peace.
Peace.